Hi, cubies and newbies. This is Sunshine, and it's Friday evening. So hey, let's play. I am the creator of the ABCube method for solving Rubik's Cube. It's the newest method, as far as I know, unless you know of a method that came out after 2020. That's me, and it solves these two methods. Are all you need to use to solve any size Rubik's Cube, and a couple that are not a Rubik's Cube. I was going to do this one tomorrow, I think. Finish this one. This one was solved as if it were a 3x3. The yellows and whites are correct, and the top, middle, and bottom sideways is correct, and the rest of it I can do tomorrow. So I was going to. I would love to chat with anybody who wants to chat with me, because that's funner than monologuing. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about my method. This morning I was going to be doing the centers, and I kind of got bored with that, so I moved on. I have been playing. We've been talking about parodies, and the fact that all parodies are a lie and they can all be undone with a single rotation of a slice, a single quarter turn of the slice of the cube that the parody affects. So anytime it looks like there's only two pieces, there's really three. And we can do that. And I've explained that many times, but I got into a side tangent of figuring out how many different ways a parody can present. So I've been playing with that. And for example, this cube has two parodies on it. It has, by the way, it's impossible to have two parodies. If you have two parodies, you can just still solve the cube, no problem. If you have one parody, you don't even have to do the quarter turn. They'll give the 1 quarter turn for this parody and 1 quarter turn for this parody cancels each other out, so you don't have to do the quarter turn to fix these parodies. These parodies, well, they're as much a lie as any parody is. So you can, but at any time a parody is where it looks like you have two pieces that need to switch, and nothing else on the same layer that will help it out. So these two by themselves, if the rest of the cube was solved, these two would be a parody. These two, if the rest of the cube was solved, these two would also be a parody. These two, if the cube was solved, if the rest of the cube was solved, would also be a parody, and these two, if the cube was solved, would also be a parody. So these are things these are ways things that parodies can look like. And then I was playing with some 3x3s. I was playing with the 4x4s. I was coming up with some formulas for the 4x4 that can be corrected, that are different from the 3x3 plays. The mechanics of the cube are different for the 3x3 than they are for the 4x4. So there are some, looking just at what a 3x3 can do. I rotated this quarter. I rotated the center a quarter turn and solved the rest of the cube and ended up with this parody. But then I started, and when I did on the same thing for the 5x5, it acted the same way and gave me this center parody. But when I did it for the 4x4, you couldn't see this parody because it still exists, but you can't see it on a 4x4. So if you can't see it, you don't have to fix it. So a 3x3 plays plays everything on a 3x3 will play out on a 5x5, and everything on a 4x4 will play out on the I don't know what these are called, side wings, other edge pieces that are floating edge pieces. I don't know. This one I took and I did the. Okay, so these ones. This is another one that I did. I made the center turn, and instead I made the center 1 quarter turn off, and instead of getting the edge parity, I managed to get a corner parity instead. So we've got we've laid the groundwork for a parity because we're a quarter turn off, and this one is presenting itself as a quarter turn, as a corner parity rather than an edge parity. And this one is the same. Nope, this one of these is the same. Okay, so this one I solved layer by layer going up, and then I came up with I created the edge parity because I did and then when I tried to solve, I did the edge parity before the corners. Then when I tried to solve the corners, I ended up with another corner parity. Sorry, my phone is telling me it's ready for me to twitch. Thank you. So if the parity doesn't show up on, so since I didn't do the parity on the center row, any of them, creating an edge parity created the corner parity to fix it. And the corner parity can either look like together, side by side, or opposite. And so this is my parity here. And then I also did another one. I'm like, okay, well, what happens? I solved contrary to how I always solve it. I solved layer by layer up to the first two, and then instead of doing the corners first, I did the edges first, which left me with a parity, a corner parity, where this one is correct and these three are not. To fix that parity, I mean, I can certainly do whatever to fix that, but in doing so, I'm going to mess up my edge pieces that are there. So that's another example of why I do the corners first and then the edges, because when you do the edges and then the corners, you can catch a parity later on. If you do the corners first and then edges, if you get a parity, you can, like I said, you can solve it with a simple quarter turn and keep going without having to memorize any long parities. So that's what that looks like. This one is another one. The center is a quarter turn off, and it ended up in an edge parity. These ones are adjacent, and these ones are diagonal. But so you can create a parity by by playing around with a cube and breaking away from the patterns and algorithms and formulas that you are used to. Then if you pick up the cube and play with it as if you don't know what you're doing and just start fresh, you can come up with quite a few things that could look very pretty in patterns, if patterns are a fun thing that you like to do. So all of these, that's what I taught myself about parities this week. They can look anytime. It looks like there's two that are out of place. There's really three. So for example, if these two are out of place, I can the layer that I turned to get there was this center layer, but it doesn't matter if this is the center layer I turn. It doesn't matter, because if the inner workings are off by 1 quarter turn, you get a parity. If they're off by 2 quarter turns or 0 quarter turns, then you don't have a parity. So if I moved it back like this, that'd be 0 turns. But if I instead treat these cubes, work with this layer, because these cubes are this parity is definitely on this layer, and if I don't know which center is off, as if it's a 4x4 or something else, or is void cube, then I don't have to know which layer was off. I just have to correct it 1 quarter turn, and then so there's 1 edge correct and 3 that are not. So I'm going to work with those 3, and I'm still going to leave my center off just to see what happens, or to demonstrate what happens. So I'm going to, oranges on top, I'm going to displace one of my oranges. Usually I have yellow on top, but this is the way it works today. So I look for the piece on the top that's not yellow. We've got green. Move the cube so the corners match the front. It's going in the white direction, so away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Again, formula B always moves 3 pieces around. If you apply it to the outer columns, then it moves corners. If you apply it to an outer and an inner column, then it moves edges. So if I apply it to this particular piece, I've removed the corners match the front. It's going in this direction. So where it's going to land is my first column, and where it begins is my second column. So I'm using these two and to apply it to this piece. So away up, in up, away down, in down. Look for another piece on top that's not orange. Rotate the cube so the corners match the front. It's going in the green direction. So this is my first column, this is my second column. Away up, in up, away down, in down. Again, I'm ignoring my centers because I'm pretending it's a void cube and I don't know what it is. So I've got my edges, I've got my cage correct again, and you'll notice that I did not work around the center cube, and which did not give me, which will always give me boxes either for 3 or for 4. So these 3 pieces want to move around, and actually the inner piece for a cube is one solid piece. It can't move around, and so when you move one piece, you're moving. It's shaped like a little jack. So I've got you line up the 3 colors that match, and they're all. If it's not 3 colors that match, then it's 2 colors that match that are solved, and the side edges are, the center is an opposite color rather than a side color, because that's mathematics of the cube. It's all it can do. So I've lined up my 3 colors for top, left, and right, top, right, and front, and I can either do this twice, or I can do it the reverse of it. So I can do the reverse of it, or I can just reverse the cube and do this one. So am I doing this right? Okay, well, out. Okay, so I'm moving this piece. I'm using formula A on this piece right here. So this is my row I'm using, and this is the column that I'm using, and this is the piece that I'm working on. So I move the piece away, I move the space down, I move the cube and the piece back up, back in to the spot, I move the cube into the space, and the cube and the space back up again, which settles your, so it doesn't matter which way you turn to correct the not lined up part of the center, because as long as you get it, as long as you turn the right layer 1/4 turn, your parity will disappear. So that is my parity stuff. Anybody there want to say hi? If you've just joined me, I am Sunshine, and I am the creator of the ABCube method for solving Rubik's Cube. So just those 2 formulas will solve every type, every size of a 3x3x3, an n by n by n cube. This one has a little bit of an adaptation that I have to make to my formula B, but it's a simple one. It's still, all you need is formula A and formula B. And the simple the alteration that I do, the adaptation that I do for my formula B, is instead of rotating the top and then the up column, and then rotating the top back and the other up column, that doesn't work because the outside edges are banded. So since I can't go 1/4 turn out and back, or over and back, in order to do my B, because of the shape of it, because it's a 3x3x9, if I do a double turn, then I can do what is needed, and then a double turn to finish. For example, this white piece right here, it wants to go into this spot right here, but if I do that, then I've displaced my yellow. So I can't just muscle it into place. I've got to actually do something. So I bring the cube down in the way that the horizontal rows will still move. I can't bring it down this way because then it won't turn. So I bring it down and I've lined up, well, let's bring it down this way. I bring it down and I've lined up the piece that it's going to go into right there. And I'm going to do that by using my formula B, adapted. So I'm going to do the top, up, top, second up, top, down, top, down. And do that again. Up, up, down, down. And then I put it back in, putting it back into place now, that did not mess up my white. So every cube that I own can be solved with just the A and B, and I love talking about it and playing with it. So I will be back here tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Utah time, and I will be, I have some novelty items that I can share, bits of Rubik's Cube history that I have, including the early attempts of of how I created the ABCube method. So come back and it'll be fun and you can play with me. In the meantime, you guys, go have a good rest of your day, and thank you for joining me and giving me your time, and I will be back tomorrow. Did anyone give you time to say goodbye before I click the button? It's okay that I'm just in the background for you. That is perfectly fine. I'm still content. Okay, bye.